the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines for a very successful bird fest.
I'm very glad and thank you for my and everybody, Philippine friend, to invite us.
So let's support each other. Let's try to get more birds protected and habitats protected.
We have been experiencing the warmth of the Philippine hospitality since the time we arrived in the airport.
Welcome back to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunanan, and tonight's topic is bird watching in the Philippines. And joining us now are the two officers of the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines. Who are joining us is Mike Liu, who's the president and one of the founding members, and Gina Mapua, vice president. So welcome to Philippines Uncut and our exciting topic, bird watching in the Philippines. So Mike, Gina, before we go into our discussion, quick introduction. Mike?
Mike Liu, president of the Wild Bird Club.
Okay, and what do you do, Mike, aside from being a wild bird?
Oh, I'm a businessman.
Okay.
We distribute industrial tools.
Yes. And Gina?
Gina, I'm the vice president of the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines, and I'm basically retired and lady of leisure.
What, what do you do for the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines, Gina?
Coordinating work, administrative work for the club,
Yes.
and occasional bird watching.
Yes. Now, before we came on, we had a couple of videos in the first segment and also beginning of the second segment, and we showed some of your activities. What is this Wild Bird Festival all about? No, Philippine Bird Festival all about?
The Philippine Bird Festival was started, I think, on the second year of the club's existence. What we do is we use this opportunity to reach out to the public and to teach them to appreciate Philippine birds, the natural environment in which they live in, and to know that of the value and the richness of the bird life in this country.
Who are the participants in the Philippine Bird Festival? Because I saw it was the 8th, right?
Yes.
The 8th Philippine Bird
That's the 8th.
Festival. I mean, this one is coming up. No, this is what
Finished
happened last December.
Last year.
Who are the participants here?
Many of the members of the club serve as volunteers.
Okay.
And we work and man all the booths. We also have many birding clubs from the other Asian countries, for example, Thailand, Taiwan, Malaysia. They come also and attend and promote their birds as well.
No, but do you guys reach out to non-bird watchers? How
Yes.
How do you do that? How do you reach out to them?
We arrange with the local governments and with DEX also as well to bring in school children. We put on a show for them. And this one teaches them how to appreciate birds, how to identify birds. So we approach the children. And then also the walk-in public is also invited. So this is promoted via media, and they can see it also for themselves. And they're all welcome to come in.
Okay. Now, Mike, I understand you are one of the founding members of the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines. Why did you guys establish this organization?
I've always been interested in nature.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, I go out and I said, wait, where are the elephants and the giraffes, the antelopes? No birds, nothing. Then 10 years ago, I saw this book, Complete Guide to Birds of the Philippines. And I was, ooh, so many birds in the Philippines, and I've never heard about this. So I searched on the internet and found out there are other bird watchers in the Philippines. So we started emailing each other. I said, oh, let's try looking for green areas in Manila. We took out the map of Metro Manila and started identifying. One of the places is the reclamation area before Mall of Asia was built. It was like birding paradise for
Really?
us. Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, what was the effect of the whole
They're all
development
gone.
there?
Most of the birds are gone. Like maybe 10% of the species are left.
Mm.
I used to park, if you're familiar with the area, there's this gas station with a Blue Wave complex.
Sure.
I just
Yeah,
parked
sure.
at the gas station.
Shell station, I think. No, it's
Petron. Yeah.
Petron.
Petron.
I just
okay,
park at
okay.
the gas station,
Okay.
go behind the gas station. That's where we go birding.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And then how popular is bird watching on the Philippines, Mike, since you founded this organization 10 years ago? I mean, have you noticed that more and more Filipinos are getting interested in this? How has your membership increased since then?
We started with 11 members. We now have about 200 members. But now there are more people. Like when we take out our binoculars, people, ay, nagba-bird watching sila. Whereas before, people would think we're taking pictures of birds or we're
Yeah.
going hunting.
Yeah. So now at least that you notice that even the passers-by
Yeah.
know that you guys,
They
what
will,
you guys are doing
they will
already.
whisper to each other loudly.
Yeah. And I noticed in the video we showed earlier, there was like, there were people in your event from, as Gina said, from Thailand, from
Yeah.
Malaysia, from all these other countries. How extensive is the bird watching network that you guys are hooked up with?
Well, actually, all the neighboring countries have bird watching. Their birding watching history is much, much longer than ours. Malaysia, for example, their birding club is 80 years old.
Wow. Why is that? Is it because maybe of the British influence and the Brits
Yeah.
are really into this whole bird watching nature
Right.
thing now? So
Mhm.
probably because of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Gina mentioned something about educating people about the different species here.
Mhm.
How many species of birds do we really have here in the Philippines?
We have recorded at least 600 species in the Philippines, but since we go out more often now, members are adding more and more species to the list. Like birds never seen before are now being recorded because people go to Ilocos, to Babuyan, to Batanes, to Camp Camarines Sur.
Wow.
What's nice about the Philippines is we have 200 endemic species, which means these 200 species are found nowhere else in the world except the Philippines.
200,
Yeah.
huh?
So what's pathetic naman is we only know about the Philippine eagle. What about the 199 other species?
I have to admit to being one of those guilty ones who
Right.
only know about the Philippine eagle. I don't know about the 199 other.
Right.
Yeah.
A diplomat once told me it's sad in the Philippines because even the elite, the educated people, don't know anything about Philippine wildlife. These are people who are supposed to know about the Philippines.
Why do you think awareness of wildlife is pretty low here relative to other places? Why is that? What do you think is the
It's
reason?
not in
Gina?
our textbooks.
It's not, first of all, it's not in our textbooks. We have, I always read the social studies books, and they talk so much about our natural resources, but then it just stops at that word.
True.
This country is rich
Rich.
in natural resources,
true.
and then
Okay.
or
Not true.
there's no mention of it, no mention of the particular birds that you might be able to see.
Or maybe just the major ones like the Maya.
Yes.
And then, as you said, the Philippine eagle.
We've got the Maya all wrong.
Well, because why is that?
A
How
lot
have
of
we had it
people
wrong?
think that that brown bird they see in the city
Yeah.
was our national bird.
The Maya.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's
Really?
It's a completely different bird.
So the ones I see like perched outside my window in the telephone wire or whatever, and
It's not our
little brown
It
bird.
was not the
our
national bird.
So what was the national bird? What is the national bird?
Our national bird was a munia, a little rice bird.
Rice,
It was called a maya,
Mayang Bukid,
mayang bukid.
Oh my God! Look at that, huh?
right?
You can see that in the bukid.
So what is that little brown bird we all see all over the place?
The correct name for the
What is
little
that?
brown bird, that audacious little
That
brown
we see
bird
all over the place?
that we see
Yeah.
everywhere,
Okay.
is called a Eurasian tree sparrow.
Wait, so that's not a Maya?
No,
That's not the
I'm such an
national
idiot.
bird.
that
I'm
was
such an idiot.
it's called a maya now. It's called a maya now.
It's got on popular
That's a name that was
lingo.
Well, it's still a Maya, but that wasn't the national
That
bird.
wasn't the national bird, not that species.
No, I mean, you're talking about past tense. Wasn't the national bird? This kind of assumes that there is a national bird now.
Yes,
Correct.
So
The
which is?
the Philippine
Philippine
eagle.
eagle is
Oh,
now
yeah,
our national
it is the
bird.
national. Okay. I'm getting confused. All right. Okay. So let's talk about how the Philippines rates as a bird watching destination. You guys have friends from overseas coming here and raving about the Philippines. How good is it as a bird watching spot?
Well, what we call the serious bird watchers, they have a list of birds they want to see around the world, around 8,000 species.
Wow.
Okay,
A list.
a list. So, tick, 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 tick. I have 4,000. You have right? It's like yabangan, right?
Bragging rights.
Bragging rights.
Like a
But
Pokemon
if you
bird.
don't come to the Philippines, you miss out on at least 200. You want to check off at least 100 of the Philippine list. So, serious bird watchers will come to the Philippines at least once in their lives to see these birds, to tick them off the list. And they have to travel Luzon, Visayas, Palawan, Mindanao to see all this. You can't see everything in Luzon. There's no forest in the Philippines that hosts all these endemic species. So a lot of foreign bird watchers come here. From anywhere from 100 to 200 bird watchers come here every year.
This is an incredibly lucrative, potentially big market for DOT
Yes.
to tap into. And I'm surprised that the DOT hasn't yet. I haven't seen any advertising campaigns by the DOT on bird watching in the Philippines or.
Because in order to do a proper bird watch and to take foreigners around,
Yeah.
you need to be knowledgeable about birds yourself.
Yes, of
And
course.
it's
Have
a knowledge
guides
that
and all
cannot be
that.
gained just like that.
Sure, sure. Now, okay, we talked about 200 species endemic to the Philippines. How many have you guys seen of these 200?
I've seen at least 100.
100?
siguro.
I can say about 100 also. We recently started the big year, the Philippine Big Year, which means from July 14 up to July 13 this year, whatever bird you see, you list down. So the first time you see it, state the date and the place.
Yeah.
I've reached 100, but some of our members are not telling. I'm suspecting 400.
Yeah. It's a one-year race to see as many birds as possible in celebration of our 10th year.
Very interesting, this competition thing you guys have going
Yes.
among yourselves. I never realized it was so competitive, no?
Oh, it is.
God, how must that go?
We actually have father and son saying, "No, shh, don't call him, don't call him."
Or husband and wives.
Husbands and
Who are
wives.
angry,
Man.
fighting, or why didn't you tell me you saw that bird?
Jesus. Very interesting. Now, let's talk about your advocacies. What is the Asian water bird census? I understand you guys are supporting this
Yes.
in a big way.
The Asian water bird census is an international census of water birds in Asia. It's done every second and third week of January. So we go out to the wetlands, like coastal areas or marshlands, to count the water birds.
Okay.
The reason is if everyone counts at the same time, then we collate all the data. We'll have a Asian population for how many species there are for the whole Asia. The DNR is the lead agency in the Philippines, and we are helping them in certain wetland sites like Manila Bay, Candaba, Balanga, Bataan.
Yeah. Now, how do you guys interface with DNR? Because I'm sure, as I mentioned in the first segment, that they're probably very happy that you guys are, you guys are extra boots on the ground.
Mhm.
DNR is not a big, they're very undermanned, understaffed, considering the scope of their work, no?
Yes.
So, what is your interface with them?
We work with them mainly for the Asian water bird census, but also, for example, Ixie mentioned earlier the Lapachea. This
Yep.
is called the Las Piñas Parañaque Critical Habitat and Ecotourism Area.
Wow, Lapachea. Okay.
Lapachea.
Again, please.
Las
Las
Piñas,
Piñas
Parañaque,
Parañaque
Critical
Critical
Habitat.
Habitat and
and-
Ecotourism Area.
Wow, okay.
And the DNR is in charge of that section.
Yep.
And we work with them. The DNR, of course, has a lot of people also working with them, but we're one of them in part of their team in making sure that this piece of critical habitat is preserved. This is the last piece of natural mangrove in the whole of Manila Bay within
Wow.
Metro Manila.
Wow, Las Piñas, it's in Las Piñas, Parañaque.
Yes.
Right by the coastal road.
How endangered is this area? Wait, critical habitat, sounds pretty serious.
Critical because over the last, we have the 5-year data.
Yeah.
And we've identified which are the critically threatened species that that can be seen in that island.
Yeah.
And there was one species wherein 1% of the Asian population stops by that area during migration season.
You're talking about an island, and I understand it's called Freedom Island.
Freedom Island.
What is this about? What is Freedom Island? It's an actual island?
It's a natural island.
okay.
There's Freedom Island and Long
Okay.
Island. It was supposed to be reclaimed in the 1990s. This was the Amari land scandal before, so reclamation was stopped.
Okay.
And now there are efforts to resurrect the reclamation again. So we said, no, this is a critical habitat. You cannot touch it. So, but people in the private sector, people in the government are trying different ways to continue the reclamation.
Okay, so what is the status now of this area?
Everything is at a standstill.
Okay,
It was declared as a critical habitat by the previous administration during Earth Day.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, it was declared wetland of international importance by the Ramsar Convention.
Okay.
It's an international body that declared it so.
You said Ramsar Convention. What is this Ramsar Convention?
This is an international convention of countries that decide which areas need critical protection.
Okay.
When they declare that it is a Ramsar site, then
Okay.
it means that the eyes of the world are looking at it now and watching it and
Yeah.
keeping books, keeping the books and data on the stuff.
Yeah.
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 Not just birds, but the health of the environment in that site
Yeah.
is already monitored.
Yeah. And this Las Piñas Parañaque critical habitat and
Ecotourism
ecotourism
area.
area, is it now is the status now like elevated to that of
Yes.
wetland of global importance
Yes.
under this Ramsar Convention? So now what you're saying is that this thin strip of land, the last existing mangrove
Mhm.
in Manila Bay, is now, I mean, all eyes of the world are, I mean, the eyes of the world are
Yes.
now on this.
Yes.
Okay. So what's to stop development from coming in? I mean, so what? I mean, if the eyes of the world are on this piece of land, what's to stop the big developers from coming in and reclaiming it and building another mall or something?
Well, many people want to keep that a critical habitat.
Yeah.
We have the management council of the La Pachea has already a management plan. It just needs certain members of the council to sign it, and well, they're sitting on their heels.
Where does the government stand vis-a-vis this La Pachea? I mean, what is the official? I mean, are they supportive of this? Are they supportive of big business? I mean, it's okay.
It's a mixed.
You can say.
It's a mixed picture.
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very mixed picture.
Because where big business is concerned, I'm sad to say in this country, a lot of times, other priorities are somehow swept away.
Yes,
So,
Yeah.
like certain sectors would like to point out that since it is a bird habitat and it's so close to the airport, there is the chance of
affecting, I mean,
Bird strikes.
The bird strikes, sure.
yes, they'd like to point that out, but it's not exactly abutting the airport.
What
There's
about-
some distance.
What about legislation? Like, I understand in the West, let's say Canada and the States, I mean, there was a movie, Fly Away Home.
Yes.
You watched about
Yes.
this little girl with a microlight, and she led this group of
Yes, yes.
geese down south because there was a wetland where certain legislation say that if there are species there,
Yes.
then it can't be developed.
Correct.
I mean, into commercial area. Is there any legislation like that here in the Philippines that prevents
The
people from-
declaration of that place as a critical habitat
Yeah.
should be enough.
No, but it's kind of
But
like a
it's not.
moral thing. It's not really.
But
It's
it's
not
not.
binding on.
It's
on
an executive
not legally
order.
Binding, yeah.
It's an executive order,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it doesn't hold water if somebody wants big bucks.
Are there champions in Congress or in the Senate who?
Yes, we do.
Who are your champions? I mean, who are the legislators who are really supportive of this?
One is Mrs. Villar. She
Okay.
wants to
I mean,
keep-
she's from there. Sure.
She's
Yes,
from Las
she-
Piñas.
yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Lauren Legarda also. I mean, she's a very
She hasn't jumped into the
environmental
picture yet.
thing.
Not this particular picture yet.
Yeah.
Not this issue.
Okay. Oh, no, we have a few minutes left. Let's talk about the International Hornbill Conference. Mike?
The International Hornbill Conference will be held on April 24 to 26 here in Makati.
That's soon.
Yes,
Like in a week's
2 weeks
time
from
or
now,
2 weeks'
yeah.
time, yeah.
Basically, we have biologists from all over the world talking about hornbill breeding conservation from different backgrounds. First day will be at the Ayala Museum, the launching of the conference, which includes opening of an exhibit on artworks and photographs of Philippine hornbills.
Wow.
And then a 2-day conference will be at the AIM Conference Center.
Okay, okay. Who are you expecting? I mean, how many people are you expected to attend this conference?
It's major academic conference, so we have at least 25 speakers. Is that 25 to 30 speakers?
Wow.
come.
I mean, it sounds like a big event. Like you're getting 25, 30 speakers, and
Yeah.
you're launching the Allen Museum and all that.
Yeah.
Who are your partners? Who are your strategic partners?
We have Team Energy Foundation.
Sorry,
the
Team Energy.
Team Energy
Okay,
Foundation.
Okay.
The Tourism Promotions Board of the Department of Tourism.
Yeah. Okay.
Ayala
PAUB,
Museum.
Protected Areas and Wildlife Bureau.
Director Lim.
Yes.
I'm glad to know that
Yeah.
she's very much involved here.
Primer Group,
Yeah.
the one selling North Face and Columbia.
Yep. Yep. And you guys are going to come out with something like this. No?
Yes, an abstract of all the talks.
Okay. Now, you said it's an academic. It's more of an academic discussion. But is the public free to attend any of these workshops or talks? Or
Yes.
Yes, they are. There are conference fees. Yeah.
Many of the titles are very, very interesting. I'm no scientist, but I look forward to sitting in there and to listen to many of the speakers and talk about hornbills and their ecology and their environmental impact.
Yes, yes. And yeah, I mean, personally, I'm also very much interested to attend and really go deeper into this
Yes.
this issue, this topic. Very interesting. Now, before we go, unfortunately, you've come to the end of the show again. Maybe last words. Let's start with Gina.
Ladies and gentlemen, Philippine birds are a national treasure. Learn to identify them and appreciate what the treasures you have in this country.
Good. Mike?
Go out bird watching. You don't want to. You have to know what's out there to see.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So guys, more power to you and to the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines. And of course, your event coming up, International Hornbill Conference, April 24th to 26th, launching at the Ayala Museum.
Yes.
No, great. So guys, I hope you learned a lot about bird watching with our friends from the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines. Join us again next week here on the show where we talk about what matters to you, because you guys matter the most. I'll see you next week.